Not only do we have one crappy blue Focus, now we have two of them.
Love to see it. Oh, and it took my bottle. Give me that.
And only one of two things is gonna happen. The car's either gonna bend a valve and blow up, or it's gonna run perfect. All right, you guys, so taking a break from the Ford truck stuff for just a second to appreciate something that all car guys need and some people don't like to admit, and it's having somewhat of a reliable daily driver. Now, I'm just as guilty as everybody watching this, where everyone thinks in their own head that they can daily drive a race car, and you can if you're a millionaire and you're okay with working on it every 2 days. But I'm gonna show you guys a cheap, really good alternative to having something that's fun, cheap, and could be fast. I don't know, depends on what your definition of fast is, but let's get into it. It should be a fun one. So we're gonna hop in my daily. This is a 2002 Ford Focus. We're gonna hop in this, head up to LA and go pick up our new vehicle. So we're heading up, like I said, up to LA right now. I'm actually in my daily with Christian. Hi. And he dailies a 65 Mustang. So like I was saying, you can daily your fun car as long as you have a close commute to work, not something that's 30, 40 plus minutes, or you're willing to shell out the cash for it. So the one thing that I will say is the car that we're buying is very similar to what I'm in right now. However, it's a sport version necessarily, or a special vehicle team version, which if you know what that is, it'll be a good one. So I'm gonna catch you guys up to speed when we get up there. Not gonna waste any more time. It's gonna be worth it. This is a fun car. I'm super excited. There's the Amber Alert. Nice. Yeah, we're gonna burn down, I guess, today, so that's always fun. All right, we are down the street. I've not seen, the photos of this car are really bad, I will admit. So I don't know what the passenger side looks like and the lower halves of the front and or rear bumper. So I don't know what I'm getting into. It could be an absolute smashed piece of garbage, and in that case, I won't buy it. But it only has 80,000 miles, which is unheard of for a car this old, and it'll make sense when you see it. But yeah, I'm gonna pull up here, I think in about 2 minutes, and see what we get ourselves into. I think I'm here. This is always the part when you come down the street and you're just looking for it. Oh yeah, I can see the dude's already staring at us. Okay, you can put the camera down. Here he is. Yeah! Not only do we have one crappy blue Focus, now we have two of them. I can't wait to bodywork and repaint this entire thing. I bet you're ecstatic. It's static for sure. I'm so hyped. It's one of my, it sounds so lame, but it's one of my dream cars. Like, this is one of my dream cars. Isn't that stupid? Yeah, I mean, look at the rims that are on it. Dude, Fiesta STs, and it's got 2023 tires. These tires are probably as much as what I paid for the damn car. I know. So we're gonna get into all the details on this thing in a little bit, but these things are cheat codes. They're so awesome. The only downside is they are 91 octane only. That sucks. 91 octane only. It's the only downside. It's because they're race cars, brother. Race cars. This is my first SVT vehicle. So this, like I said, is my 2002 Ford Focus. And this is another one. This is a 2002 Ford Focus SVT. These things are sick. So as you can see walking around it, there's already some immediate aesthetic differences between these cars, but these were built by the same people that built the SVT Lightning, the Cobra, the Terminator, GT500, and even the Raptor. They made a Focus, if you didn't know. These things are super cheap. I paid $2,300 for this car, and it only has 80,000 miles, and it's a 6-speed manual. These cars are awesome. So this is actually finished in Sonic Blue. So this is the same Sonic Blue that's on Sean's Super Cab, as well as the stripe on my Lincoln Town Car. It's a badass color, same one you can get on SVT Cobra Terminator, and it's a really cool color. I fell in love with it the second I saw it. I've wanted one of these for a long time. I had a white Mark 1.5 Focus, and then I had my Mark 1 behind. I wanted this one. This was the ultimate one that I wanted. Now, calling this a dream car makes a lot of car guys laugh because these things are so cheap. They're not really worth a lot, and you really got to be a nerd like me and enjoy the niche to really appreciate what these things are. But I'll show you guys the differences between one to the other. It's quite insane, actually. So immediate differences, you have power and heated mirrors, painted mirrors, although the clear coat's failing. The other one's plastic and it's all manual. You can see the power switch right here for them. They do work, everything still works. And this is an O2, by the way. Not only that, as I open it, pull my key out so the door chime doesn't piss us off. Power locks, power windows. And when you shut the car off, it automatically locks and unlocks the doors, which is, sounds stupid, but I'm gonna keep saying this is for an O2 little economy hatch, really. 6-speed manual transmission, which is probably one of my favorite parts. And then look at the gauge cluster in this car. White SVT gauges with the tach. Oh my gosh, I could stare at that all day. And this is supposed to be an economy car, but this was, I think, their answer to the first economic sports car, or sports hatch of the day. This car has, obviously, Fiesta ST wheels with brand new 2023, or brand new 2023 day-coated tires, a low pro tire. I actually didn't even look at the size yet. We have 215s all the way around, which is actually relatively aggressive for this. I think I could actually squeeze a 245 under these cars, but that's for a future date. But you can also see the inside of the interior is actually color matched to the car, and it has power seats that automatically recline up and down. which is super wild to me. And it has a full stereo system with a sub from the factory. It didn't have this exact one, but the factory sub is still in the trunk. And it has a sunroof and a wing, and the entire body kit's different. You can see it has the SVT badge on the back, has a little baby diffuser with a nice little tip, and the upgraded sound system. You can see the sub is right in here. So it's definitely different. So yeah, all those things might be like, oh yeah, that's in my 2002 Chevy Tahoe I got for 500 bucks. It might be. When you look at this one, which is the really cheap version, this is the polar opposite. Manual windows, not painted. 5-speed manual transmission, black dash. Manual seats, manual everything. This is like the bare bones. I paid $1,600 for this car, so if you don't want to afford and spend over $2,000 on the sporty version, you can get these for anywhere from $500 to less than $2,000 for a really nice one. This car only has 100,000 miles. This one only has 80. So these might look like buckets, but they are actually very nice cars. And both of these get over 30 miles to the gallon. This is a 2-liter Z-Tech, and this is, I believe, also a 2-liter, but it's the SVT variant, and it's a totally different motor, totally different platform. And like I said, this has a 6-speed, so really, really cool. Also, drum brake and disc brake from the factory. So this actually came upgraded with disc brakes, which is really cool. In the rear, which I didn't even know until I saw the car. Crappy drum brakes, also 16-inch wheel, 17-inch wheel. But yeah, this is like a midnight metallic blue, but the sonic blue, oh my gosh, you just come to the side. It does need to be repainted, clearly. It's definitely the one thing that we need to do is paint it. That's why I picked it for the stripe on my Lincoln. It's just such a cool blue. But overall, why did I buy this? It's because I drive 40 minutes one way to my shop every single day, and then drive another 40 minutes home. And that's why I got my other Focus, but I figured if I was gonna get an economic daily, I wanted something that's sporty, that's cool, that I could put my own spin on it, and I couldn't justify putting money into a $1,600 car, which is why we bought this. I'm gonna be selling the other car behind it to hopefully a good buddy of mine that needs a cheap car. I'm gonna play with this thing a little bit. I wanna lower it a little bit more. It does have Koni shocks all the way around, and obviously the wheels. I wanna change the wheels to the correct rally spec wheels. I might do a tribute Martini rally style build with it. I think that'd be kinda cool, but nothing too crazy here. I'm not putting a blower on it. I did find an SVT blower, so maybe if one falls in my lap I might, but I'm not gonna outsource it if I can't get my hands on one. And be really, really simple with it. Just lower it, nice wheels. We are gonna repaint this car, tint it, do a stereo, and then we're done. At least that's the way I'd like to start this series off. But I know my name is on the YouTube channel, so I like a bunch of different cars, and this is one of the weird niches that I've liked for a very long time, so I'm super excited to get into this. But yeah, let's get this thing home and wash it, clean it, get it ready. I want to give a massive thank you to Christian behind the camera for driving me up here. So thank you, buddy.
Hi.
Hello. But yeah, we're gonna make the trek about an hour and a half back home, go get some food, dial this thing in.
Hey, Quag.
Dude, the cruise control works.
Really?
Yeah, I've never had that before.
All right, from one egg to another. This is so weird. I have never, it's gonna sound a little weird, but I've never owned a car in my life with a key fob. I've never been able to do that. That's really weird to me. Like being able to walk up to your car and unlock it. That is so weird. Like, man, maybe I am just a boomer and I'm used to just really old, like old Fords, but that's so weird to me. I'm not used to that at all. It's the first car I've owned with a key fob and power windows and power locks. I've never had that. The Bullnose has power locks, but I've never owned a car with fobs. That's super weird. You can kind of see the differences. This car is definitely special. It does have a VCT timing advanced code. What that is doing is this has variable cam phasers up front, and it's advancing the timing too far out of its operating range. So we don't want to be revving this thing really high until I fix that. So that's the first thing on the list that we need to fix on this car. So I'm gonna do a little bit more research in it. I have to get a cam lockout tool and a couple other tools to actually fix it, and then I'll bang it out pretty quick. It should be a couple hour job. I think it's no more than like 3 hours. So that's the first thing I want to do, and then go ahead and just do a full fluid flush, make sure it's all good, go over to the tint shop, get this thing tinted. It still has all the original glass in it. We were noticing that this still has the Ford windshield in it, which is super cool. So this thing's never had a windshield replaced, which is really quite unusual here in Southern California, but I do see one little rock chip right here, which might be an issue. But other than that, I mean, dude, sunroof. This thing is a sunroof. The other one does not. Like I said, I might be a little bit more nerd than the other average guy about these things, but they're just so good for the price. You cannot get another sportish, fun daily driver for less money than these cars. And they're Fords, and this one specifically is an SVT car, so it's even cooler. And the color options that you can get these things in are just absolutely incredible. You get this car in comp orange, yellow, sonic blue, silver, black, and red. I think that's all of them. But for me personally, the sonic blue definitely did it the most. The only one I would consider is the comp orange because that is the rarest. But either way, we made it over to Portillo's. We're actually right around the corner from Knott's Berry Farm, I think it is, or something like that. One of the big roller coaster rides up here in Anaheim. And we're gonna get some food and drive home. But I'm enjoying this thing. It has cruise control that works. I've never had that either. All these modern amenities that everybody has, I've never had before.
Yeah, this place says you and I written all over it.
Oh yeah.
Hey, that's me. Yeah, they got a photo of Franklin getting his back blown out. It's crazy, dude.
Alrighty, just finished eating. Now we're gonna see if we can make a long drive home with this one has a check engine light, this one has a check engine light. So, let's see how this goes. Wait for the long haul.
All the way back home.
Yeah.
Should be pretty easy.
That's easy. Should be an hour. Oh, wait. This is the best part.
Hey, wait. How does my car look better than your car?
It doesn't. Don't lie to yourself. You ain't got one of these, kid.
This is so rad. This thing feels like I just got taken back to Need for Speed Underground 2. This is such a retro car. From the styling to the crappy techno music, that is the only station that will work on this radio. I am having so much fun in this $2,300 car, and I recommend you do something similar. Alright, so let's get started with this thing. So this is the 2002 Sonic Blue Ford Focus. As I've probably said 7 times in this video. However, I just drove it 2 hours. It has no air conditioning. I can't have that. This sucks. So the first thing I'm going to try to do is go ahead and fix the AC on it. So these are pretty easy. I believe the filler's right inside the wheel well, at least on the other one I had. I'm going to try to see if the AC comes back. I have a couple cans. I really hope it works. If not, I'm going to be a little bit upset. So let's see. The other funny thing, this is typical Facebook Marketplace, all right? So come inside here, check this out. So normally your hood prop to pull it is right here. This is not, there's nothing here anymore. You forgot to mention that the hood pull is broken and that you pull this down and that's how you open the hood now. So that's sick. Thanks, appreciate it, buddy. You know when like the seller just starts hiding stuff? That's pretty much what happened just now. So that's sick, but at least we got the hood open. So now, as you can see, I have it running, so I can go ahead. And I've been driving it, I think I've put already like 300 miles on this thing. So it's actually pretty solid. So there is one, actually I think it's right there. There's one pressure right there, and I think there's another pressure relief valve on the inside, so I'm gonna figure out which one to use. Charge it. He said it just needs a recharge, but you ought to wonder why it was not charged in the first place. If there's a leak, so we'll see. All right, so one of the things I'm gonna go ahead and do is I jack this thing up, and now you can see I have this. This is the AGM Jackrod. Now this thing is super sick because it's actually a jack in one shot. So I have a mount on my jack, I popped it off, and I don't wanna get my head smashed, so as you can see, if I come down in here, I can take this. So I can slip this in, pull this like that, shoot it down, and then you can actually release the jack. You can see it locks. And this thing on its own will hold 3.5 tons. That's more than like 2 of these cars on just the Jackrod itself. So you'll never actually end up using that much. So these things are super, super handy. I'll have a link down in the description if you want to check those things out. I use them every single day. But underneath here, you can see what I'm looking at is not really that great. So right here, this is our AC line. I don't know which one this is, but immediately it's got a kink in it and it's cracked on the side from it being kinked for a long time. You can see right there. So that's super not cool. I can see that this already looks like it's been bent. So I'm gonna try to see the correct orientation. I think I might end up pulling this line off right now since I'm already here, changing the O-rings and then putting it back on and trying to charge it. So I think it's the first round of business I'm gonna try, see if that works. I really hope it does, but I'm not really promising anything. All right, I don't understand why car companies make this so difficult. You can just see all the nice dirt that I just laid on the ground right here. All of this, look at this. This is like Spider Alley in here. Ay. See if I can show it. You can see the little black cap right there. So that's it, it's hiding way in there in all the spider web. So I'll try to get all that crap out. And I can see all of this mess back here that I gotta deal with. Look at how nasty everything is in there. This car has not had a good service in a very long time, and I can tell. So oil change is on the way, get all that stuff knocked out. Some guys pulled the headlight out to get to that. I should be able to pop it in through the fender. It's just 2 bolts, so I'm gonna get this recharged and hopefully it comes back. I did have actually, I was able to bend that line back and it looked like somebody had pried on it, and so I kinked it. Managed to just pull it a little bit and it went right back to straight, and so I'm gonna hope that it's good because I don't know where I'm gonna find one of those lines right now. The seal looks good, so I replaced that, put that in, so we're gonna see if it will hold a charge. Nice, love to see it. Oh, and it took my bottle, give me back. Look at that. Yeah, that's what we like to see, it's holding pressure too.
Oh my gosh, it's so cold. Yeah, I have AC, yay. I love it when the daily driver has AC. So if you guys have a car that you've been driving forever that doesn't have AC, just inspect the system. Do anything if yours is not working, go ahead and pull those O-rings off and just, you'll put the little green guys in. You get a pack of them for like $4 or $5 at a local parts store. Swap all O-rings. I'm just go ahead and throw a can in it real quick, see if you can get it to kick on. If it's good, you need to keep putting cans in it and let it basically bleed itself out. Or the correct way is to put a vacuum on it with a machine. So if you have a local shop, they can pull a vacuum on it, but at least try to get it to work with a couple cans. I do recommend that because you'll spend $40, probably 40, less than $50 to have working AC or some sort of working AC. So from here, pretty much if I see a pressure fall for whatever reason, I'll pull this over to my buddy's shop and I will have him pull a vacuum on it because that would mean there's just a small air pocket that's getting in the system and it's basically pushing air around somewhere. But it's working, so that's good. The next thing on the list, oil change, then I gotta look at that VCT code, which is kind of scaring me. All right, now to actually tackle the culprit, which is this engine, I'm gonna go ahead and pull off our valve cover and our front cover, at least the top half of the cover. I'm gonna inspect everything. I have a timing belt and everything, which I'll probably do in the future, but it does drive. I've probably put 1,500 miles on it the way it is, so it does work. I don't wanna totally gut the thing right now, but I do wanna try to get this P1381 code out of the way, which is an over advanced, so it came out of time just a little bit, and I will explain why once I get this apart. All right, so if you're new to this platform like I am, let me catch you up to speed. So this is our intake cam and our exhaust cam. You'll probably notice this little drum on the front. This is our VCT solenoid. So what actually happened is I was getting a code for it being too advanced. So what this does is a variable cam timing, and it only does that on the intake side. So what it'll do is it'll advance or retard the timing based on where you are in the power band, essentially to change cam timing like you would on a small block Ford. And these things where it's fixed on those motors, because you would either advance or retard the cam when you're building the motor. This one, it has a solenoid that does it pretty much live while you're driving, which is nice because it'll bring the power band earlier or later in the power band depending on how you're driving it, which is super awesome. Mine is throwing a code for being too advanced. So what normally happens on these, they're not keyed or locked down or anything. Essentially what happens is you lock them down and you time them once, which I can tell somebody's been in here based on those white marks right there. Also, I do not believe this is an actual Ford belt, and you can see it's getting a little bit cracked, and it's also a little bit loose. It's not actually that bad though. So what I'm gonna do, I do have a Gates racing belt for this thing and everything. We're gonna do tensioners and pulleys and all that stuff later. But for right now, I'm just gonna try to fix that code. And so essentially what happened on this car, being that it takes, almost 100 miles of driving to get the code to come back, that tells me it's just barely out of time. And you can actually set the base cam timing just by torquing the gear. Like I said, it's not keyed or anything. You pretty much just line it up dot to dot, put the cam locks in, hold the cams, and then torque the thing down, and that's where it's gonna sit. So what I'm gonna do is bring this motor up to top dead center, see where everything lines up, and I'm assuming that this intake cam will just be slightly further than the exhaust cam. So what I'll do from there is you can see on the back of this thing, the cams are slotted. You can see there's a slot right there and there's another slot over here. And once those are pretty much perfectly horizontal at top dead center, after I go ahead and I loosen this guy, I will put my cam lock tool and lock these things down at TDC. I also have another tool to go on inside the engine block to lock the crank at top dead center. At that point right there, I'll be able to set my base timing, lock it down at 0, torque the crank or torque the cam bolt, take all the tools back out, put everything back together, and it should be good. But yeah, a little bit stressful because this is an interference engine, so if I mess this cam timing up, it's gonna bend a valve. So I'm gonna take a little bit of time to make this thing perfect. I also want my, essentially my VTEC to work. It's pretty much the same thing. So I gotta pull this cap off. There's some oil in here, and then it's probably going to spill everywhere. But I can definitely tell that it's been gone through and it has had a belt put on it once in its life. At least someone's been in here. But everything looks really, really good. The only thing I was noticing was a pretty good amount of wear on the cam lobes for being an 81,000 mile engine, which wasn't really the greatest thing to see in the world. You could see the tips of them aren't looking the greatest. But that's okay, it just gives us an excuse to put big choppy cams in this thing, which is rad. And these things actually have a ported head from the factory. It's essentially the Z-Tex Ford racing head is what came on the SVTs, as well as a really big set of cams. I'll try to find the spec on this camshaft and put it up here on the screen. It's a pretty gnarly one, and actually when you cold start this thing, it does chop, which is super wild for something that is completely bone stock and has cats still in it. But yeah, I'm gonna get jamming on this thing, pull this thing apart, hopefully get it timed right, and put it back together. All right, well, I found my issue pretty quick. So I put the lock pin on the front of the block that locks the crank at top dead center, and then immediately noticed the slots on the back of the cam don't line up. So you can see the one is kind of facing up right there. This one also facing up. And then if you look on the front of this thing, the timing marks do not line up clearly. So the one thing I was thinking is, oh, did it jump time? And if you look right down here at this balancer or this tensioner right here, there's actually a spring. And if I get this thing to focus, So you can see that tensioner spring, there's a little notch and a line right there. That line, I'll try to put an arrow at it. You can see that little like wrench looking like open U-shaped guy is supposed to line up with that line on the tensioner, which tells me that the tensioner on this motor came loose a little bit. However, the nice thing about these is they are an adjustable tensioner. So you can see on the front of this thing, there's an Allen key hole right next to the hole on the main bolt. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and try to loosen the base timing on this thing, or loosen the tensioner up a little bit. I'm gonna rotate the motor over just a hair and then basically re-torque that. And what that's gonna do, at least my hope, is this tensioner will pull this thing back forward and it'll roll these cams back just enough to get that cam lock tool in, and it'll reset my timing essentially. I think the tensioner just stretched out and along with the belt, and therefore over advancing my timing. So I think if I just reset the tensioner and then reset the base timing, I'll go ahead and get those tools in, and then I'll loosen both these front bolts, reset those to where the dots line up, lock it back down, we should be good to go. And I'm just doing that to test. I do have a new tensioner and belt and everything, but I just don't want to do it right now because it's 7:30 at night. But I'm just gonna test that and hopefully that does work. All right, I lied. And as you can see right here, see that little guy down there swinging? That is a bad tensioner right there. You can see the belt, look at that. Yep, that's a bad tensioner. Damn it. Okay, well, never mind. I thought I was gonna get lucky and be able to retime it, so now I gotta pull the friggin' motor mount out and do the whole belt and time it. Oh God, this stresses me out. New belt is on, as you can see, and my dumbass forgot that the tensioner is not even here yet. I checked the tracking number, I thought I had a bag, I opened the bag, it was not at all that, and I was looking at the tracking number and it said it hasn't even shipped yet. So I tore this whole damn thing apart for no reason. I at least reset base timing, remarked it, you can see that's good. All I've got to do now is go ahead and re-torque the cams down. You can see the lock tool is in it, which is good, and it has a fresh belt, so screw it. I'm just gonna put the tensioner on it, re-torque it, retighten the tensioner. I'm unfortunately gonna have to do this whole job again, but it really isn't that hard now that I know how to do it. That's the good thing about doing jobs like this yourself, is once you do it once, you usually can do it a few times, and this would have been probably an $800 plus job if I sent it to a shop. And we don't do that around here, we're gonna do it ourselves. So I'm gonna basically reverse engineer this thing, put the whole thing back together, and hopefully it doesn't blow up, because this is an interference engine, so if I mess the timing up, it's gonna bend a valve. Yay! Let's see how this goes. Alright, belt is now on, car's back together, and as you can tell by my face, it was such an easy job. I recommend you do it too. I hate this. And only one of two things is gonna happen. I'm gonna go in the car and basically I reset timing, and if I mess it up, the car's either gonna bend a valve and blow up, or it's gonna run perfect. One of those two things is gonna happen, and I really hope it's one or the other. It is definitely still out of time, which makes no sense. I did exactly what I was supposed to do, did it the right way, and it runs like crap. I'm not hitting any valves, but it sounds severely retarded. Like that sounds like it's actually, yeah, it's firing out of the exhaust, I can hear it. So before it was too advanced, now it's too retarded. But why? That's fun, I get to figure that out. Okay, retimed it again, it's either gonna be better or worse. I honestly don't know. I did relatively the same thing. It looked like it moved a little bit, so I torqued it a little bit better. I really don't get what it's doing. It's acting like it's got a dead hole. Go to TDC, you put the block in, and you line everything up, and it runs like shit. Howdy, Quag from the future. You know what I hate? Spark plug wires. You know why? Because it makes you take everything apart and retime the engine just because they weren't making contact. Cylinder number 4 wasn't even touching the plug wire, so every single other one you would hear a click, and this one it was like a very not a click, and so it was running on 4 cylinders. Now listen to it. All that works
for nothing. Sick. Good job, Quag, you big dumb stupid idiot. Wow. Man, that's crazy, man. When you have 4 spark plugs, it runs like it's got 4 cylinders. What a concept. Now I got oil everywhere because I put 2 bolts in the valve cover. I'm gonna put this piece of shit back together. We're gonna go drive it. And I'm gonna go to bed because it's like midnight. All right, so we got the focus up on the lift over the guys at HeatShield were nice enough to let me use their lift. So massive shout out to those guys. You can see that massive oil mess I made last night by not putting the block plug in right there. So that's awesome, I get to clean that. And I really just wanted to see what was going on underneath this thing. And you can see there's like cobwebs everywhere, all up and down this thing from it sitting. And I think this is pretty common when you let your cars sit by trees. Is trees, you know, are housed to spiders. Spiders get in cars that sit and basically use the parts of the car like a tree branch and just start going crazy. And I think that's exactly what I have a good case of here. But basic inspection, you know, this was a Facebook purchase. Doesn't really look too bad, honestly. Minus all the spider webs everywhere, which you can see. That's really the only downside is a lot of that, which I'm gonna clean right now, which doesn't really have a downside at all. It's just honestly me just being picky. But all the bushings don't look too bad. If you can see right here, sway bar bushing, that guy is gone right there, needs to get replaced. Lower control arm bushings don't look much better. Up from there, everything else doesn't look too bad. Heat shielding doesn't look bad. Muffler, we were making a joke that a Black Widow Venom 250 will fit perfectly in there, so we might do that. But these things have a stainless mid pipe. That's actually really cool. So you can see this whole thing's stainless, so it's all rainbow and whatnot. That's from the factory. And it has a stainless piece like that. That's interesting. So thought that was interesting to be noted. Downpipe and everything looks good. Well, I guess main exhaust piece after the cap. And then everything up here doesn't look too bad. It looks like that weld cracked for whatever that is. But we're gonna be doing a whole exhaust on this thing too. And if you guys didn't know, this has a true 4 to a 2 to 1 header. That's a long tube header from the factory. So it starts all the way up there, which you can see, comes down into right here. So yeah, these are pretty performance oriented cars. But yeah, everything doesn't look too bad. The boots are still good on the CVs. It does have Koni shocks in it. The guy did tell me that. You can see the orange up there. It doesn't really do anything for me, to be honest. The car still doesn't ride that great. But for a Focus, it's pretty good, so I'll take it. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get the oil drained out of this thing just because I could probably use it. And then from there, we'll go ahead and put some fresh stuff in it and kind of clean up my mess. So yeah. All right, oil is now changed. We're gonna top this thing off with a HeatShield Products self shield. These things are super awesome. There's the part number for this car, and pretty much any Z-Tech motor, if you guys have a Focus. I think this is probably working on even an ST, but if not, you can call the guys and they'll set you up with the right one. But these things are super rad, and actually on this car, very useful because you can see that oil filter, you can see that white guy all the way up there. It's right tucked up on the back of the engine where there's a ton of heat. There's coolant lines running right behind it. And on top of everything, just in a really, really tight spot. So the guys over at HeatShield Products make a bunch of amazing products, like I say all the time, and this video is actually sponsored by them. So I wanted to give a massive thank you to the guys over at HeatShield Products, not only for letting me use their lift and dumping all my old oil out all over their floor, but for getting us set up with the right product for the job. So this is their Stealth oil filter shield. They have this in the Stealth, which is the black, as well as the Lava, which is their more kind of bronze color that you guys have seen on header wrap and other things like that. So there's 2 different variants of it, and they make it for a variety of different vehicles. If you guys aren't sure which one your vehicle needs, you can head down in the description of this video, click HeatShield Products, it'll be down there. You can browse their website. They offer tons of different solutions for tons of different vehicles, from header wrap to oil filter shields to battery wrap shields, all sorts of cool stuff made right here in-house. And so I'm gonna get this thing put on. You'll see the before and after. It's well worth it. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys just how easy the things are to put on. You pretty much slide it up, line it up, and there you go, just like that. Wiggle it until it slips right on, and there you go, now it's on. And this thing is a magnet on the front and the sides to keep it locked on right there. And that is a good installed piece. Like, look at how good that looks. That looks awesome. Hell yeah. All right, all done, and then you can see this is what I was talking about. I mean, this is just, I don't know the best solution for this. Minus don't let your car sit under trees. But oh my gosh, this is like upstairs. This is inside the door jamb of the car too. Eesh, nasty. All right, let's go drive this thing.
Found out the VTEC works, or at least the VCT works. It's a lot faster. There's no check engine light. I've driven it about 100 miles, which is super awesome. And now it's got fresh oil in it, so I don't have to worry about that. So I think most of the issues with the cars are fixed. I did the AC in it. It's overall been a good daily driver. I've actually put about 1,500 miles on it just in the time of this video. And I figured what better way to wrap this thing up than get some wrap or at least tint on the windows. So that's what we're gonna be doing. So we're over here at Tintman. This is the guys that tint all my cars. Every single car that you see on this channel has been tinted by these guys. They do a fantastic job. So I'm doing the back windows, pretty much everything on this car. So he's getting the back window done right now. We're gonna kind of work our way from back to front on this thing and pretty much do like a, what I would call like a daily driver package or spec at least. So I like changing it. Like my F100 and my Lincoln both are limo tinted all the way around, but my Fox body was a daily driver. I did 5 on the back and then I did 20 on the sides. And then if you were gonna do a windshield, you would do a 50. So basically from back to front, step it up and go from dark to clear, just to show a little bit of a change. Plus 5 on the window right next to you is very hard to see out of, especially at night. So rolling your windows down is always a pain. If you're trying to back into a driveway, you gotta open your door. Not really the most ideal for a daily. So this being a daily, I figure we're gonna do that staggered look all the way from front to back. They've got everything plotted and already cut. I think this being a bubble shape, you gotta kind of shape it, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely add some of that heat to it, find that curve.
So we shape it on the outside of the window. The whole process is actually pretty interesting because you would mold it to the outside and then flip it, and it's got multiple layers, and then once you peel it, you apply it to the inside.
And it's supposed to tend to add some extra horsepower.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it'll be a little more sleek with this stuff. But you can already see the change from being fishbowl to not fishbowl. It's gonna look way cleaner. You guys know me, I can't leave anything alone. But the one thing that did the really amazing lighting in here, and they're building highlights, is the pour paint on this car. This has 100% been repainted because this is not a Ford OE clear coat. Clear coat would not fail like this. The only car company I've ever seen with clear coat that fails like this is a Toyota. So you can see the roof is bad. And this is overall really, really poor. And the one thing that I noticed actually when I was getting gas this morning is when you open the gas cap, you can see the tape line. So right inside here, I can see the tape line right there. It's very clear and obvious right there where it's been repainted. So you can see that's the original paint, this is the repaint color. So inside there, and it's very hazy, it's very foggy. Factory paint is not like this. It's very dull. It shouldn't be nearly like that. And the inside of the door jamb is significantly deeper. You can see right there. It's hard to show on this camera, either way. So a repaint will definitely be in order for this car, but this isn't a crazy project. I'm not gonna be ripping the motor out of it and doing all sorts of crazy things. It's a daily driver while I finish all my other stuff. We still have the Galaxy and the truck and everything else to do. But this is something for me where I have to hand make everything. There's not much aftermarket for this car. Being the SVT, it's a very niche car. And then if you want anything Mark 1 focus, it's a lot of its European parts. So you can't really get a lot for these cars, but the fact that I don't have to hand make every piece is super cool. So that's a new one for me. But the interior of this car is actually very, very nice. I have, like I said, been dailying it during the filming of this video, but shift boot definitely needs to get replaced. This guy's bad, that guy's bad. There's a couple little pieces here and there that need to get replaced, but overall it's not in terrible shape, realistically. I just keep finding dirt and spider webs everywhere that I need to clean, so I definitely need to go through it. Chris and I got the bottom half of the car cleaned up on the lift, but it's never gonna end. But either way, we're gonna get this thing knocked out, go through the tinting process, give you the whole rundown once it's done. This thing's gonna look very, very good for a daily driver. Okay, look at that difference between the 5 and then nothing. You fit great.
Yeah, big man in a little car. Woo.
Oh, you can just see inside between the 2 glass. So you guys tint old cars and new cars. Something a lot of people don't even realize.
Anything with glass can be tinted.
Don't tell me that. I'll bring you like a fish tank or something. You have done a fish tank?
I've done a fish tank. Like I said, it's glass, we can tint it.
Well, you heard it here. Heck yeah. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, just like that, We're done. Very, very quick job. Very, very good job. The guys over at Tintman. Thank you, Chase. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yeah, this looks awesome. So little things. That's kind of what I wanted to show. A lot of you guys are probably like, why are you even making a video on this car? Because not everything has to be a super expensive, overcomplicated project like a classic truck, car, or hot rod, or hand-built vehicle. These are something you can get into for very, very cheap. I'm in this entire car under 3 grand. Registered, insured, smogged, AC, all the parts, all the pieces you guys saw. Everything you see in this video pretty much has been under 3 grand, including buying the car, because I got this thing for 2,300 bucks. And all you have to do is just look for them. So you'd be surprised at how much fun you can have in a very cheap car, and they can still be cool. Like I was showing, this is an actual SVT, so it's a little bit different than the ordinary. And it's a fun little daily, and it's in a really rare color. This is the same exact color you can get in the Terminator. So, but yeah, new cars are old. They can tint it all. So they're right here in Escondido. If you guys look over for a very high quality tint shop, you can call them and tell them I sent you. I'm gonna head back to my shop, wrap this thing up, go ahead and clean the wheels up, and we have a nice new daily driver. I'm pumped. This is sweet. Alrighty, and just like that, our project is off to a really, really good start. Nothing too crazy, like I said. I don't want to go super, super crazy with this. This is my daily. You can see Chase knocked it out with a really, really good tint over the guys at Tintman. I highly recommend if you guys need a car tinted. They're really, really good, really, really talented group of guys. They did my F100 years ago. They did my Lincoln years ago. They did my Fox Body years ago, and the stuff lasts. I've not had to redo a single car, a single window one time from these guys. So I highly do recommend them. I'll have all their information down in the description below, as well as the guys over at HeatShield. I really appreciate those guys as well. And let me know what you guys think. I'm really excited. I actually posted this car on my Patreon before anyone else saw it. So if you guys want to see stuff that happens before anybody else, check out my Patreon. I do post stuff almost every single day on there. Talk to you guys, post videos without ads. All sorts of great stuff happens there. And yeah, let me know what you guys want to see us do with this car. I don't want to go too crazy right away. I have plenty of other things like this to do in the meantime, and a bunch of other important projects coming up. So this is something that'll be relatively short and sweet. But either way, I think long term we might end up bringing this car back and doing more like a Mark 1 rally car thing with it. I think it'd be kind of fun. But yeah, SVT's most forgotten car, and something that's very, very underestimated, is this and the Contour Focus. Two very, very, very niche cars, very, very cool cars. If you're into Ford Motorsport like I am, or a special vehicle team like I am, these are definitely ones that you have to have, or at least own once in your life. So that being said, go on Facebook, find a cool daily, find something fun that doesn't get 2 miles to the gallon, you can still have fun with. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Grab your merchandise at 909speedcompany.com, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later, guys.